pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. We don't have public comments, so we'll move on to 4, approval of the March 7th, 2023 Public Safety Committee meeting minutes. Motion made. Do I have a second? Motion made second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Number 5, policy issues, discussion, and potential committee determination. A, removal of death certificate signing fee from ordinance.
Hello? Can you make this go on? Hello? Hello? Okay. Sorry about that. So when we did the process to increase our cremation authorization fee and disinterment permit fee that went through county board and was approved. In that process, we realized that we never eliminated the death certificate signing fee from 2016 from the ordinance. That was created prior to the legislation that came out that limited coroner medical examiner fees. And with the back date, we had to eliminate that at that point. So I'm just asking for the ordinance to be updated to reflect that we do not have a death certificate signing fee. We haven't had that. We only were able to collect that fee for just a few months in 2016, and it had to be eliminated at that point. So just for accuracy purposes, to update the ordinance without that fee. Is there any questions?
Any questions? If none, we can have a motion.
Oh, I got it.
This is Jean. I'll make the motion to eliminate the fee.
I'll second it.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to 5B, opioid abatement efforts for law enforcement agencies grant.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman, and thanks, committee, for allowing us to come before you. I have a couple of people with me, Rhonda and Luke, and they're going to talk more in depth to this. So basically, the reason we're coming to you is there's an opportunity for a grant, and that's this opioid abatement efforts. And in your packet, starting on page 8, there's a bit of information there that starts with a bullet point and spreadsheet there that Rhonda compiled, kind of outlining which option we were looking to go with here in Marathon County. And then the following pages are the grant itself and the parameters. So where this money is coming from is from the opioid settlement. For the portion that the state of Wisconsin got, they're utilizing some of that money and now divvying it out for opportunities to obviously abate opioid. So I will let Rhonda talk a little bit about what she's identified as the need here for our facility and how she envisions that working. Obviously, we don't have solid numbers. We haven't even applied for the grant, but before we got to that point, we want to make sure that we have support for applying for the grant.
Hello, everyone. I am a social worker at the Marathon County Jail. Just to give you some context, so I often will encounter individuals leaving the jail who frequently suffer from addiction. medically assisted treatment is an evidence-based harm reduction. We have an opportunity to apply for this grant, which would allow us to offer 3 types of medication to help with an opioid disorder. That's methadone, buprenorphine, and naltrexone. We have some partners on board already. We have some structure in place of a process, but we learned of this opportunity a week ago, so we welcome all of your questions. Just please know that we may not have all of the answers yet. We are taking it very seriously. We see individuals come through our doors that are struggling, and this is one way we feel we could help them before they leave to live a journey of recovery in the community.
Hi, I'm Lucas Volden. I'm a supervisor in the jail. I have been offered the opportunity to attend some grant writing training last year, and this would actually be my first opportunity to write for a grant. I just wanted to note that we have the support of the jail administrator, the chief deputy, and the sheriff at this point. A couple of things from like the security side of things. Of course, I always am concerned with the likelihood that some of these medications might be abused within the facility. The good thing about this is that we're bringing in injectable type medications, which greatly reduce or eliminate the ability for people to abuse the medication. The other thing I wanted to touch on quickly is that our current medical provider in the jail has a history of working with similar programs, but related to the alcohol side of things. So we have, like Rhonda said, outside community partners that are on board, and we have in-house people that are already kind of schooled up in this area. So we thank you for your time.
Yeah, I guess if anybody has any questions, we'll open it up for that instead of just going down a bunch of rabbit holes, I guess. So if anybody's got questions, we'll do our best to answer them.
Questions by the body? When did you be writing this grant? I assume you have most of it filled out or part filled out, or where are we at on the process?
The deadline, I believe, is the 22nd of May, so we got to get going on it pretty quick here. Things have been started, but we just wanted to get the approval from the Public Safety Committee that you're in support of this, so that if money was allocated, that when it comes time for the county board, that knowing where some of the grant concerns come in, that we would have the support from public safety going forward.
Go ahead, Administrator Leonard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a little bit more context. This is as our team has said, this is a great opportunity. It's not something new, however. We've talked about this for a long time at the, at the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. In fact, we've had outside resources come in and talk about similar programs offered in other parts of the state. We have people in our adult treatment courts that have utilized these medications under supervision before and had really good results. So I think as everyone has shared, good opportunity. We're bringing it before you so that we have that support. We don't want to go through the whole process and then ultimately come to a place where, hey, this isn't something that the county board or this committee would support. But we haven't talked about it recently at the CJCC, but this is something that a number of years ago we had people come in. There's support from all of the justice system partners and from my perspective. Thank you.
Are you looking for a motion? Mm-hmm. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the opioid abatement efforts for law enforcement agency grant application.
I'll second it.
We have a motion made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to 6, operational functions required by statute, ordinance, resolution, or policy. None. 7, educational presentations and committee discussion. GIS Next Generation 911 Grant.
Hello, I'm Preston Vandervoort. I'm the GIS coordinator for Marathon County. GIS coordinator for Marathon County. We were awarded a GIS grant from the state in the amount of $12,000 with a 5% match from the Sheriff's Department, which is about $600. And I'll just tell you a little information about NextGen 911. Right now, we're currently in the enhanced 911 phase of it. We're moving into the NextGen 911, which is more of a cloud-based IP network that will tie in all the county dispatches to a statewide dispatch or PSAP answering point system. So we'll be linked together, and it'll also enhance our multimedia capabilities such as text to 911. With this new platform is going to be a heightened alert for GIS informations, geographic information systems, which is my part of it. It's going to be the foundation for NextGen 911. With that, it's going to be higher standards. We're following the National Emergency Numbering System standards, which is NENA. So right now, all the counties are forming their GIS data and bringing it up to these kind of standards right now. I don't have a time set when Marathon County is going to go to NextGen 911, but we're envisioning it's going to be happening this year. With the geographic information data, we're talking about road center lines, site address structure, address points, our PSAP, which is kind of like Marathon County border. It's going to be where all our customers are, a locational identification for that. Emergency service boundaries such as fire, EMS, law. And then how this will work is when somebody calls in on a landline or your cell phone, it'll come with an address or your location. And think of it as layers in my world. That address point will drill down to the PSAP boundary, which is Marathon County. And it'll keep drilling down to notify your law, EMS, or fire. For my case, I live in Rothschild. So when I give it a call, it'll come through Marathon County PSAP saying the call's coming from Marathon County. And it's going to drill down to law, which is Rothschild Fire Department for me. Then it's going to go to Riverside Fire District for the fire department, and then Riverside Medical Services. So it's all mapping based. With that, we supply the data to Entrado and AT&T, which is our vendor, which we're going through for the EZNet, for the statewide EZNet. And right now, we're going through QA and QC, and then also with this grant, we're going to be linking up our MSEG, which is part of the Sheriff's Legacy data with our current GIS. So that's going to be the next phase of it, is getting our GIS data standardized and then linking all the platforms together so we have a seamless call routing system. Other than that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to ask or tell you.
This is Jean. I have a question.
Go ahead, Jean.
Preston, I'm assuming this is going to make the job for our 911 operators a little easier?
Hi, Gene. This is Bill Milhausen. I'll chime in, I guess. Preston gave me the look. I don't necessarily know that it's going to make the job any easier. What it's going to do is allow a lot more opportunities and better location services, give us better data when we're trying to decide what response district needs to go for a call. It's going to help there. And then this is kind of setting us up for the next migration with NextGen 911, which will then give us the ability to text 911 and also ultimately send video or photos into 911. So I wouldn't say that it necessarily makes the dispatch job easier, but I think it definitely is going to clean up a lot of gray area with some of those districts and things like that. And then again, this is going to be at the end of the day when it's all done and the counties that are on board is going to link everybody together through this EZNet system, which I guess we'll wait and see how that all comes together. But I would say we're towards the front of the pack with moving this forward throughout the state right now. We're just waiting for now this warm weather will help where they can start digging and get ahead of the game with getting fiber in the ground for us.
Thanks, Bill.
Anything further?
The only thing I wanted to add is I can't thank Preston and his group enough. This was a huge task, and I know a lot of unknowns when we got into this, and Preston's really worked hard to learn what it is that's being required by the state and by the vendors, and we really appreciate it. Preston, thanks.
All right, thank you. Next is 7B, active shooter training. So I brought this up. Because I was at a conference down in the Dells for my work a few weeks back. They're talking about active shooter training in the schools, and I remember we had active shooter training. I want to say 6 years ago, somewhere in there. Now we do have controlled entry, which, let's be honest, they still could probably get in other areas. I guess what I'd like to do is just get the discussion started by the sheriff's department. I think that'd be our first avenue to see what you guys think we should be doing, give us some options or things like that. And I mean, it doesn't have to be today, obviously. I just wanted to get the discussions going because being public safety, it is kind of under our jurisdiction of what we should be doing, I think, for the courthouse and or for our other buildings for that matter. So
I'll start. If I may, Mr. Chair, this is Administrator Leonard. Timely topic of discussion. This was actually something that has been, from the staff perspective, we've been talking about. It was brought up at a judge's meeting and requested that, to your point, we make sure that staff are aware of the general process and procedure that we would be looking for them to follow in the event of such an incident. I recognize the county board is somewhat different. We did do that training. I believe that's about right, 6 years ago, if not maybe a little bit more. And we certainly can do that and have the sheriff's office come in. But we have our risk manager working with the sheriff's office to revamp our presentation, make sure everything is to the level that the sheriff's office is desiring. We're going to start with the courthouse, to your point. The courthouse is set up, as you all know, a little bit differently than each of our other buildings with the controlled access point and security screening process. But nevertheless, to your opening comment, that there is a need across our organization to really make sure that staff have the information they need at all levels. We had it for reasons that I won't get into, that we had a little bit of a delay in that process, but our risk manager is working with the sheriff's office. And I don't know, Bill, if you have any other additional information you want to share.
No, I think just a couple of things. I think you covered most of it. But yeah, we're working to try and come up with a final product that's presentation. The sheriff's office as a whole will be doing our active shooter training here the second quarter of the year for all of our officers. And we've been revamping that whole process as well, getting it up to speed with the latest training points and things like that. And I know recently some staff from the courthouse attended some of the public Wausau Metro Strong put on a presentation, and we presented there with the active shooter in the workplace. So it'll look similar to that, but obviously structured more specific to our buildings here and our policies that are already in place, and that's what we're working on. We want to get those pieces in place before we do any training.
And if I can add one more thing, if there is a desire from this committee to do the same training we did 6 or 7 years ago with the county board, Mr. Chair, we certainly can. I'm sure the sheriff's office can do that once we get the staff one put together and work all the bugs out and bring it to a county board meeting and have that presentation there. That makes sense.
yeah, and I mean, just what that all looks like. I mean, I know when we had that trainings, it was probably a little more in-depth than we probably had to go. I mean, it was just, it was the first one we had, and since that, obviously 6 years later, those have been streamlined, I guess I will call it. From what I heard at this presentation, it was both state law officials and all kinds of, actually national also, and then people that were at shootings and things like that. So it was pretty informative, but I just thought just bring it forward. And then, I mean, I know you guys can't really talk about, what, like profiling for that type of thing and things like that, but I'm assuming, and just like an update of how we keep up to speed on those things, because obviously as things progress and things are changing pretty rapidly, just wondering how that's all done now. We don't really get to see that side of it. And some of it we probably shouldn't see or know, because it's one of those things. So,
No, I think it's a great idea, and, just like with staff here in the courthouse, I think the statistics were roughly 50% of our turnover probably since the last time we've done that, and I would be probably safe to say that the same stands true with the county board and committee members, so I think it's a great idea. It's something we should probably do on a more regular basis.
Chair,
go ahead.
I remember that training, and there were a lot of county board personnel that were really rattled after that, but it was a very big eye-opener for a lot of people. I don't worry about us so much anymore, me hiding under a table and having to throw my iPad at somebody trying to shoot me. What about out in the parking lot, though? If somebody's really PO'd at us, that would be something to consider in this training. I mean, with everything going on in the world today, I don't even want to go to the grocery store anymore. It scares me that we're going to have crap happen up here like it's been happening all over the country. It's just a matter of time, and the more educated we are, the better off we are. I appreciate all that you guys do to help us be safe, and I would appreciate knowing a little bit more. Thanks.
Anything further from the body? All right. We'll move to 8, next meeting dates and time, announcements of future agenda items. So I don't think most people of this body know, at the last executive meeting, we talked about getting our agendas into Dave or the clerk's office a little more timely. So if we get anything, and I guess copy in both Lance, myself, and I don't know, Lance, do you think Dave and Kim? Whoever, if you have something that you want on the agenda the Thursday before, would be greatly appreciated. I think that'd be fine, Thursday, because we want it by Friday, so before the Tuesday meeting. Go ahead.
I just got something with all this stuff going on with the wind turbines. I've had several people, several of my constituents contacting me, and one of the things actually is related to probably public safety, is with Flight for Life, as far as like their flight patterns and their restrictions on where they can land and things like that. I don't know, as far as county-wise, what we can do is in that, or anything.
So, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but typically with wind turbines, we did, when I was doing zoning in the town of Texas back in the day, and I'm really going back, this is 15 years, typically if they're a certain size, that falls under different jurisdiction than Marathon County. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But that's typically how that works. So those things are set forward by either the feds or the state, and we don't get a say. Now, if there's a certain size under them, then it falls in under our ordinances. But that's typically how wind power generation work. So I know they're talking about the one in Western Marathon County. That one, I believe, because of the megawatts that it's going to generate, is going to fall not under the Marathon County. It would fall under jurisdiction of the feds, if I'm correct on that. Maybe, Lance, have you been involved in that?
I haven't been involved much. What I can say is I know Chair Gibbs is working on interfacing with the Wisconsin Counties Association to get that item, whether he's working on either an independent presentation to the community, which board members could attend, or a specific county board committee, or the full board to address a whole wide range of issues. And I can certainly inform them about your specific one. But it's PSC jurisdiction for anything over,
PSC, okay.
Public Service Commission for anything over 100 megawatts, but since it's not on the agenda, I won't.
Yeah. I just was mentioning, sorry about that.
Thank you.
But yeah, I know there is something about that, so anyway. Otherwise, yeah, if we want to put something after the presentation, it'd probably be advantageous to see what the presentation brings forward, and then we could put it on if it's something pertains to public safety. Anything else on agenda stuff? Also, if we bring something up in the agenda, Dave will write it down, and then we'll make sure we put it in the packet for the following, as long as we approve it beforehand. So, 8B, next meeting is Tuesday, May 9th. 2023, 1:30. And with that, we'll take number 9. Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everybody.